students do a retelling. You might have a test on a piece of reading that they've done to make sure that they understand. What else could you do? Think of all the things here.
Compare, contrast.
You could have them do
diagrams.
Yeah, you could have them do diagrams. You could have them do little, graphic organizers. We could have them summarize. Maybe that would help you this. Also, I was thinking I might do a conference, a reading conference. There could be some peer interviews where students interview each other about the books that they're reading. I might have lit circles I'm going to have them do and do some observation. There could be a number of things. So I'll just put like peer interviews here. So I have some talk, I have some writing, I've got some observation time. I'm always trying to figure out how I can figure in all of these three by the time I'm finished looking at all the evidence here. Now, write and communicate in many different forms and formats. What might I ask students to do?
Letters to the editor.
It could be letters, yes, it could be letters, what other things? Pardon me?
Poetry.
Poetry. They might be writing essays when they're older, or when, simpler ones when they're younger, it could be memoir. So I'm going to be looking here at many first drafts. I'm also going to be looking at published level, because I want that revised and polished. So here, we're also looking at first drafts and also published level drafts. Also, I'm going to look at what's called impromptu. You know what impromptu is? It's when you just come in and you write cold, okay? And sometimes in real life, we don't do that very much, but sometimes we have to do that for, report card writing, for a teacher. We have to come right in. So I would always ask for some impromptu. Okay? So there could be all these different ways of looking at it. Now, working together in a respectful way to explore ideas and accomplish tasks. This is my group work. This could be our discussion groups. And this is going to be really my observations. These are students taking on roles. This is more than ever probably their lit circles. It could be a variety of tasks that I have them do, viewing tasks. So when I look at all the different ways I'm going to collect, and this is just for English, for example, look where test is. It's one, but there are many other things that I'm also going to collect. So I found this really helpful to the parent. Just as soon as I could say, well, these are my big ideas, and I usually would look at for the term, maybe for the unit, maybe keep it a little smaller. And then these are the things that I'm thinking about collecting, because before I start, I have to think, what are the possibilities? And then as we get through, okay, this works, I'm going to do this now, and do something else later. But it does help me just get a little bit of a picture here. Now, when I come to looking at the letter grades, this is what I go to. Okay, I'm just going to move this over here. And we're just still here. So we determined the big ideas, and I looked at, okay, what could those possibilities be for evidence? And then, and you'll see this in that little yellow handout up here, it's there, is I made an achievement grid. And I did this with my colleagues. Couldn't have done it without them. Karen Cameron and I worked forever on some of these things. And some of them started out very simple. You have a little more complex one, but there's a simpler example that I can show you in some other ones for younger grade. What we try to do here is write 3 levels of descriptions of performance. So to read and understand different kinds of text, what would it look like for an A? What does a student that we might identify as an A student, what does that student do? So that's what we did. We got a picture in our mind. And I knew that this student would read a wide range of genre. This student would have a book every time. This student would be an independent reader. Okay, so there are lots of little descriptors we can put in. What would happen in this case? Maybe in this case, a student loved a series. Maybe they're more limited in their genre. Maybe they couldn't go as critically deep into some of the issues in their book as the A level was. In the C or C plus level, here we had kids who would do the job, and just look after that. Write in many different forms and formats. Here they would have high level of control. Here they might need more assistance or more help, more time. Maybe they needed a template. Maybe they needed more of a format to get them going. This is the independence. This is the consistently calling. And then here, these were kids who took a lead role, that they would help get their group together. They supported each other. And I didn't have numbers for any of this. I would have my observations. In this evidence piece would be those things that we counted for this big idea. So maybe when I came back to look at these ideas, I might say, well, I'm going to count, sorry, these lines shouldn't be here. I'm going to count reader responses. I'm going to use that test. Let me do that, okay? I'm going to use my conferencing. This is the teacher one. And I'm going to get their feedback from their peer interviews. And here, the evidence to write many forms and formats, we did 4 first drafts, and I want to see them all, because if I only see 2, it doesn't tell me that they have a variety of forms and formats, just 2. Now, the other thing I want to point out here is sometimes students would say, well, how much is each draft worth? And they only do half of them. If they would have enough points to pass. But they hadn't shown me that they fulfill the outcome of a variety of forms and formats. 2 does not make a variety. So here we're looking at first draft. Maybe I'd be looking at 2, maybe taking 2 to published level, and 1 impromptu. That's a lot. But the first drafts I'm not marking per se. I'm looking to make sure that they have control over the forum, they have enough ideas, and I was looking at tone especially for each of those that I was writing. We were writing eulogies and memoirs, so there's a certain kind of tone. So I had to see if they had a good fit with the format. Okay. And here I would have my observations, and I would also have some student reflections on their improvement as speaker, listener, or how they've done. I don't assign marks to this or anything. These are this is information that I would have. And then I could see, which things match. I would also have numbers for projects. I would have all kinds of data. I would have my words, I would have test marks, because there would be things I didn't set criteria for, things I didn't use a rubric for, but I could have rubric marks, I could have, out of 25, and then I could see, I could match the assessment evidence with the description that's the closest fit. And then I could look at the trends. No student is perfect, well, there are some, but hardly any are perfectly in here. And I'll never forget Lindsay. She said, I come in a B, I go out a B, I come in a B, I go out a B. There's none of that changes, And I would say, okay. And I had, Lindsay was a student of mine for a couple of years. She's a fabulous reader. So when I could break it down like this, I could say, with a highlighter pen, Lindsay, here you are. Here you are. You are a reader in this category. Here you are here. Here you are here. So she knew exactly where she had to improve. But she could see what she had done well. And so it wasn't just always a B, because of course you go from 74% up to 85%. That's a big range for a B, and it's a big range for the A. The A is, I think, the biggest, 86 to 100, right? But it's that she could see that she was where she was in some things. This gave her a little bit more feedback about her letter grade when you had the descriptions. And they are hard to write at first because you're working with you're just working with your ideas and what you think is, the more experience you have, the easier it is to do. But if you're working with other colleagues, together we can put things just even in point form, and I've got some examples to show you. So it's a little bit different than with an electronic grade book that spits out the average, because sometimes the average doesn't tell you the whole story. Lindsay here could get a B, but it doesn't tell the whole story. And that's what I was looking for, to give more feedback for students, more feedback for parents. So here, it's not about 2% or the string of assignments. It's a bigger picture than that.